It's true, it's your Feel Good Breakfast show, and welcome back as the world's most powerful leaders prepare to meet in Johannesburg later this month for the G20 summit. Global attention turns not just to the policies being shaped, but also to the symbolism behind every gesture and image on that stage. Now, from the colors and fabrics they wear to the designers that they choose, diplomacy often begins before a single word is even spoken. And joining us this morning to unpack it all is renowned South African designer and creative entrepreneur Gavin Raja, whose work has graced international runways and diplomatic forums alike. Welcome back, Gavin, and thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You already know I'm just such a fan of yours, but this conversation just feels appropriate because when it comes to fashion, often there's non-verbal communication and cues that goes off before words have even come out people's mouths. So when it comes to visual cues and signs like the color, the cut, maybe even the fabric choice that people go for as well, what tells the world that this person is truly confident and should be listened to and taken seriously?
So I think, you know, well, I mean, in the context of what you're talking about, it's all about the politics of dress, right? So confidence is communicated very strongly through clarity.
Yeah.
So when I say clarity, it's all about the cut, the fabrication, the color, the silhouette, what fabrics have been chosen to maintain structure. So what does structure convey? These are all very, very important things. And obviously, you know, we want to bring forward an expression of some kind of individuality or personal style.
Right.
But there is a sense of restraint because we're hopefully communicating or trying to instill a level of respect in the people who are kind of viewing them, perceiving them.
Right.
But at the same time also, you know, color, for instance, navies, charcoals, jewel tones, they convey a sense of kind of gravitas to the occasion and to the person. Other colors, for instance, cream, maybe some kind of metallic tones, convey a sense of kind of openness and honesty about things. So these are very interesting and important signifiers or little semiotics, I think, for people who are viewing this.
Yeah. And I love the fact that we can talk about fashion when we have this conversation that really does speak to, like we're saying, shifting policies in the world, because it means so much. It's not just a frivolous thing. It really does mean so much. Like you're saying, from the color choice alone, you can say something that is so powerful. But I do wonder, Gavin, how people sort of balance their personal style along with the occasion that they have to dress up for. Is there some sweet spot they can reach?
Yeah, I think, you know, this kind of dress sense that it is a kind of nuanced kind of approach. So it's a, you know, it's a fine balance between that expression of style, but also understanding the context and the setting. So quite often we see these, I mean, all we have to do is look at our open air parliament and see this excessive kind of, you know, display, this peacock kind of display of fashion. Is it necessarily, you know, we quite often dismiss it as, oh, it's celebratory, it's a Rainbow Nation, but is it actually appropriate? Is it befitting of the context? Is it in some way or the other, what is it saying? People just having a little peek into the world. So it's the same thing here is, yes, we don't want to stifle expression, but at the same time, context and setting is crucial. And I think this visual vocabulary becomes really, really important in terms of what it's saying to the rest of the world and how it plays out.
I love that. And I think this is an opportunity for a lot of South African or African designers to step forward, because the world is watching as the G20 summit will take place in Johannesburg. And we are seeing more African designer textiles being used and references when it comes to our story being told in the choices that people make. So how does that sort of change the way that the world thinks of African leadership if they opt into choosing stuff from the homegrown space?
So this visual reclamation of design and pattern is very important, I think, for the continent as a whole. And I think it's very important in terms of these leaders embracing that. However, I think at the same time I want to justify it, or, well, actually just condition that by saying that we've got to be careful about tokenism as well and playing into stereotype. And understanding that African fashion isn't necessarily tribal or performative or, you know, this exceptionally vibrant thing. there has to be the sense of restraint, but it also has to evolve. So it has to constantly, show a sense of relevance and modernism. And I think that's very important for the rest of the world to see, these leaders embracing a modern understanding. So, fashion in this context is not just about pride. It has to extend beyond that, because the impact it has on the GDP of many of these countries in Africa is something that actually they rely on, and they're kind of championing or trying to progress even further. So this is a very important thing. This visual language is important, but I think it's how you bring it in and how you convey it in a very modern way.
Oh, I love that. I love that you've spoken about evolution, because yes, we have come such a long way since the beginning times of thinking that local is an option for us. And of course, you've been on the forefront of that for years now, and we can't wait to see it all be on display. We are going to continue this incredibly interesting conversation in just a little bit. Gavin Raja is not going anywhere. We're talking about the politics of fashion, especially when it comes to the G20 summit taking place in Johannesburg this month.